Are you struggling with bosses? Are you tired of dying? Do you want to beat bosses with ease and look cool doing it? Well, today is your lucky day, cause the second best YouTube channel after your channel just released the full beginner friendly boss guide. So buckle up, cause this is going to be one hell of a ride. Before the video begins, I want to thank you all for 20 subs. That may not be a lot, but that means a lot to me. And I just wanted to let you know that we Terraria players are not afraid of big boys. And I'm going to a subscriber war with a channel that has precisely 24.5 times my subscriber count. So it would be very nice if you could subscribe, because we're gonna show them who's the boss here. Thank you all, enjoy the video. So the first actual boss in Terraria is the King Slime, which is really easy after I teach you how to beat it. The way you summon it is via three methods. The first one is the natural summoning. Sometimes during the day you will see the message, the slime have started falling from the sky. This indicates the start of the slime rain event. During this event, if you kill 150 slimes of any time, upon killing the 150th slime, the king slime will spawn automatically and the boss fight will begin. The second method is using a slime crown. By mixing 5 platinum/gold bars with 1 ruby, no other gems, just ruby, you can get yourself a crown, a gold or platinum crown. Mixing gold and platinum crown at an altar, at a crimson or demon altar, which is found throughout your world at underground, but mostly in your evil biome, you can craft yourself the slime crown, which you can use to start the boss fight. The third summoning method is summoning it via just letting it pass by. This is a method used by Skyblock people and I don't recommend it. By building grass platforms on your oceans and waiting for this guy to naturally spawn in and attacking it, you can start the boss fight. However, I don't recommend it. As for the boss fight, since the boss doesn't have any ranged attacks, it is very wise to keep your distance. So for melee players, anything that allows you to keep your distance and attack from afar is invaluable. Things like boomerangs or enchanted boomerangs are a game changer here, or flails also work really well. If you're playing ranger, different guns like mini shark, musket or the undertaker work perfectly fine, but if you want to go with bows, the bows like crimtade, demonite, ore bows or even wooden bows will work, they're just slightly slower. A tip from me who played Calamity: if you go to your ice biome, you can harvest ice blocks and mix that with torches to get ice torches. Now you can craft ice torches and arrows into frostburn arrows, and these shred through the early game boss's HPs. So there's a tip for you there. As for mage players, anything that allows you to give your opponent a debuff is invaluable. Basically, using Wand of Sparking or Wand of Frosting would work really well, but Diamond Staff or basically any kind of staff would work, but the higher tier the staff, the better it is. If you're going for the summoner, it is wise to have a whip, but you can go without a whip. To get the first whip, you need to go get the leather whip, but the snapthorn would just make quick work of the boss fight. The flink staff and the flink's armor would also work really well. As for the armor sets, since there is no different armor sets at this point, for summoner it is the flink's coats and just whatever you want to put for your helmet and leggings. But for the rest, just put ore armor or cactus, or just go without any armor, it doesn't even matter. As for the arena, we're going to be using the long platform strategy, which involves, well, a long platform that is parallel to the horizon and the ground level. Basically, this strategy involves making a platform that is about 20 blocks above the ground, so much so that you cannot jump it, but you can reach it with a hook and basically just going along with it. for about 200 or 300 blocks. This is your arena. If you want to add extra safety to yourself, just add a bunch of campfires here and there, and if you really want to be careful, add a bunch of heart lanterns. For the strategies in this boss fight, basically we want to keep our distance. So what we're going to do is stick to the platform I mentioned before. When the boss jumps on the platform, you want to jump down but hook yourself back on the platform, or jump back on it using a double jump. Doing that will cause the boss to follow you down, but since the boss has not the hook nor the double jump, it will fall down to the ground and you can just get a lot of free hits in, while the boss can't do anything about you. If you see the boss start to sink to the ground, immediately get out of there. He is teleporting to your position. So you want to get out of the way. The more you hit the boss, the smaller he becomes, but the faster he gets horizontally, to the point that he almost is as fast as a full speed Hermes boots. So be careful with that and try to change directions if you don't have access to speed boots yet. The strategy basically involves going along to one side of the platform, summoning the boss, or getting the boss spawned in via whatever method you would use, and just when the boss gets up, drop down, get back on the platform, and just start to hit him. Once you see him jump on, just get out of there. Once you see him teleport to you, get out of there and just hit him from afar. As he gets smaller, he gets faster, but it's no problem, you can still hit him. Go and just continue to do this drill until you're to the other side of the platform. Once you're there, what you want to do is turn back and go back. Basically, this boss has a 3 jump combo. It will do 1 small jump, 2 small jumps, and the 3rd jump will be a mega jump that jumps really high. You can use this to your advantage to change your direction, so count the jumps. Going to one side of the platform while leaving the rest of the spawned slimes behind will cause those spawned slimes to despawn. So also look out for that. You don't need to deal with them, just start to deal damage to the boss and kill the boss as fast as possible. As for what drops you should look out for, this boss is particularly uninteresting because it doesn't have anything interesting that's worthwhile grinding for. But the only thing that if you get it, you can actually use it to your advantage is the slime saddle, which has a 33% chance of being dropped by this guy, which is a mount. Basically, it's used to enhance your drop speed, and yeah, during any other boss fights, nothing else. You can just use it to make yourself fall faster, which is very important, but in higher difficulties that is the case. So basically the ninja armor, the solidifier, none of that is useful, just don't bother with it. As an expert, once you beat King Slime and actually start to deal damage to him, once he starts to spawn slimes, those slimes can have a chance to become spiked slimes similar to jungle or ice variants, and they basically shoot their spikes at you. As for the expert exclusive drop is the royal gel, which is absolutely worthless. It makes the slimes neutral to you, well, some types of slimes, but that's about it. It has no other use, and I say it is pretty worthless, so don't even bother. The second boss of the game is the Eye of Cthulhu, and you can summon it via manual way or the natural spawning way. If you wanna spawn it naturally, you have to meet 3 requirements. The first one being you need to have over 10 defense, the second you need to have at least 200 max HP, and the third being you need to have at least 4 NPCs in your world present. Once you meet all the requirements, each knight has a 33% chance of summoning the boss via the message you feel an evil presence watching you. This message indicates that upon 8:51 PM exactly, the boss will get spawned in. The second method is via using this suspicious looking eye, which you can loot from underground chests, or you can craft at an altar using 6 lenses which are dropped by the demon eyes at night. As for the setup, the same setup you used for King Slime should do the trick. However, for the melee, the only difference is instead of using boomerang and prioritizing those, you want to prioritize using basically different types of spears. Storm Spear or the Rotted Fork work really well against this boss. If you want to know the rest of the actual recommendations for the setup, to go look at the King Slime section. As for the arena, the same arena you used for the King Slime will also be used again. The long platform, 20 blocks above ground, while you can only use your hook to get on it. Using speed boots is the key here. So basically you want to run along. So if you haven't already extended your platform from the King Slime fight, it is very wise to extend it to at least 500 blocks. For the strategies in this boss fight, basically you want to keep away from the boss. Once the boss reaches half HP, the boss will transform into its mouth form. The boss on the first phase will constantly summon demon eye minions called Servants of Cthulhu, which have really small health, but they juggle you around, basically tossing you to the boss, making you take huge amount of damage. So prioritize them when you can, because these guys are not gonna despawn. And when you can, pay attention to the boss itself. Once the boss reaches half HP, it will do a spinning animation and it will turn into a big mouth. When it does that, that is your chance to get a lot of damage in. But remember, when doing this spinning animation, it will summon a lot of Servants of Cthulhu, so you want to take those out as well. After that, it's just dodging the dashes that the boss does towards you, because with the speed boots, basically if you don't have speed boots in this fight, you're in for a rough ride. The boss fight is going to be extremely difficult, especially on the higher difficulties like Expert or Master. This boss doesn't exactly have weapons to drop, but it instead drops your evil biome or being Demonite or Crimtane depending on your evil biome. This is useful because if you don't have enough of those already, you can actually use them to craft better sets of equipment. However, you cannot craft the armor because you need to defeat the evil biome boss, which are the next bosses we will actually talk about. But you can use them to craft the demon bow or Crimtane bow or the light spane or the blood butcher are some of the good examples. You can actually use these to craft. Or if you just don't have any use for them, go ahead and sell them because they sell for a pretty penny. Finally, in the expert tips, in the expert mode, once the boss reaches 60% HP, it will now do the spinning animation and change phases. And once it reaches 50% HP, I called it a mini phase, because during 50 to 60% HP, it will just act like classic or journey mode one. However, once it reaches below 50% HP in expert or higher, it will do a crazy dash attack. So basically, it will just phase. Not only this boss phases through blocks at all times on all difficulties, but basically it will do a crazy dash that you can just see at the background. You can see in the gameplay footage at the background. And if you don't have the speed boost, you are screwed. You just have to outrun this and just deal damage. Once the boss reaches about 5% of HP, about 200 HP normally, it will just go insane. It would no longer have any pattern and would just dash all over the place. So it's just a DPS fight after that. But you will no longer lose when it reaches that low. So if you are low, once it reaches that point of the game, that point of the fight, just hope and pray to the Lord that you don't die before it. As for the expert drop, the expert drop is potentially the most important expert drop of all time, being the Shield of Cthulhu, the first dash accessory, which you will be holding on to until post-Plantera, basically until near end game. So it's very important because it allows you to dash, one of the most important methods of basically dodging in higher difficulties. So you definitely want to have that. Don't sell it off.